mean, yeah, that's my playoffs. I just don't have the like I have like people who I think is going to make the playoffs. 4 in the Atlantic, 4 in the Metro, 5 in the Central, 3 in the Pacific. And no, I don't have Washington winning the Metro. Like I have like people who I think is going to make the playoffs. 4 in the Atlantic, 4 in the Metro, 5 in the Central, 3 in the Pacific.
This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of Phatts TV, sanctioned by PA Phatts and the non-genetically proven son. Any and all words have been authorized during the show. There is nothing off limits. Nobody is restricted from watching or participating in the show. It is a free-for-all. Commencing at the siren, any and all discussions will be legal for an extended period of time. Sports, politics, and any and all controversial topics will be talked about. You have been warned. May God be with us all.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Phatts TV on this Wednesday night, October the 13th, 2021. Hope everybody's having an excellent evening. Joining me in the upper left-hand portion of the screen, deep in his underground bunker, and tonight he's really deep in that underground bunker. Why is he really deep? Because Mercury's in retrograde. Is it? I don't know. But he's deep in his underground bunker of Center County, Pennsylvania, the one, the only, the non-genetically proven son. How's it going?
It's going.
It's going all right.
Yeah, it's going.
It's going, yes.
It's going for you.
You know what? Before we get into sports, I want to talk about something.
All right.
Fucking Twitter Jack did it again to me.
Banned another account.
Yep. My backup account is now suspended. And, of course, they don't tell you why. The last tweet that I sent from that account was during the Penn State-Wisconsin game. I made a tweet about the game. The last time I retweeted anything was the day after the Penn State-Wisconsin game, when I retweeted Mike Gesicki's tweet about how Penn State's whiteout and what they do on whiteout is so much better than Wisconsin's jump around.
Sure.
In the 11 years that I've had that account, I've never sent one direct message to anybody. And it was suspended. So I sent them an email appealing it, asking them what happened. And they sent me what they normally do, saying, well, you did one of these 86 things. They say, don't reply to this because we don't monitor it. There's nothing else you could do. Go fuck yourself. Fuck you, Twitter Jack. I've been using that account for two things. One, to make money with the stock market. And two, to follow sports. That's it. And now you've suspended that fucking account, Twitter Jack. I don't know what's wrong with the people that work for you. I really don't. So, of course, I made another one now. Had to try to remember all the stock market people that I've been following. Fuck you, Twitter Jack. Fuck you. You have no idea how much I want to sue your fucking company. No idea. So if there's a lawyer out there listening that wants to take on my case, feel free to contact me at KL57272. That's KL57272. See, you're young. You have no clue what KL5 means.
No.
Google it and you'll find out. Google KL5. Google telephone number KL5. That goes back a long, long way.
The paper disc on Elva's bedside telephone reads the number KL52368, which is Klondike 52368, or in other words, 5552368. The Twilight Zone TV
back in the day.
Twilight Night Call TV episode 1964 trivia.
See, back in the day, have you ever even seen a phone that's like not a cell phone?
Yeah.
Have you really?
It's also saying it has something to do with Seinfeld.
Well, yeah, but KL5 used to be around.
Yes, up in Carbondale with the older folks, they still had landlines.
Yeah. Okay.
We used to have house phones.
We did.
It's probably still sitting to your left.
Oh, actually, even my cell phone has it. Pull up the dial thing on your cell phone.
Okay.
Is there letters underneath your numbers?
Yeah.
There you go. KL5 555. Fuck you, Twitter Jack. Fuck you. That's all I'm going to say. If anybody else wants to give us a history lesson on KL5, for all you old people that might be watching, feel free. So before we get into our recap of last week's football.
It went well.
Which, by the way, I want to say, I've only been saying for weeks that last weekend was, the best college football weekend of the year.
Right.
And I couldn't watch it because
Right.
I would be away. I tried to watch as much as I could. Well, of course, this weekend is one of the worst college football games of the season. And I have nothing to do Saturday but sit on my goddamn fat, hairy ass and watch football.
Just so you can watch game to go back to Georgia 2 weeks later.
Unreal. But before we get into that, as we said last week, we were going to do our hockey preview. For those of you that like one of our favorite sports, the NHL. So we're going to pick... You actually did a little more work of this than I did. I've been really busy with catching up on work. I just had the division winners, who's going to make the Final Four and who's going to win the Stanley Cup and who's going to make the Stanley Cup and who's going to win. You did a little more.
I have the order of every team I think in their division. I marked who I think is going to make the playoffs. I have the Final Four and I have the Stanley Cup final.
Okay. So on the fly, I will say, the order at which. To me, there's one really easy division to pick who's going to win.
Yeah.
All the rest. I mean, there's the West is easier than the East this year.
The West kind of stinks.
It does.
To be honest, there's 4 teams. You can make an argument for 5 that could even realistically win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah. I mean, let's start with the Central. Are we in agreement that Colorado's probably going to run away with this division?
I am in agreement.
Yes. Okay. All right. So, what else do you have coming out of the Central?
For the playoffs?
Well, you said you have an order. So talk about the Central Division.
Colorado, Winnipeg, Dallas, Chicago, Minnesota, Nashville, St. Louis, Arizona.
Wow. Chicago. A little higher than I would have expected.
They got a good goalie in now. They got some good players in the offseason.
They do. I mean, he is getting a little old. I have him 6th.
So I had him 5th. Would you put Minnesota 5th?
Actually,
4th. My bad.
I have Minnesota 2nd.
Interesting.
Yes, I have Colorado, Minnesota, Winnipeg, Dallas, St. Louis, Chicago, Nashville, Arizona.
Okay.
Minnesota. But, I mean, I think Colorado wins this division by more than 10 points.
That might even be on the soft side.
Yeah. I mean,
go ahead.
They
since they have such an easy division, they'll probably end up winning the President's Trophy.
I mean, they have a 71% chance of winning that division. The next highest team to potentially win a division is Vegas at 53%. So,
I mean, I could see them getting like 105, 110 points.
Their projected is like 110. And to win the President's Trophy.
That should be a given.
Yes. Little hint, like, I think the last 2 years I've had Colorado to win the Stanley Cup.
I think you did.
I do not have Colorado making the finals this year.
I think I had last year. I don't think I had them winning the Stanley Cup. Pretty sure. No, at the beginning of the year I did, and I think I changed it once we got to our playoff predictions. I think I went to Tampa.
Got ya.
Or I did it the other way around.
Got ya.
I might have chose Tampa pre-season.
Got ya. I don't have Tampa winning the cup, by the way.
I don't either. I don't even have them making the conference final.
I mean, Tampa is trying for a three-peat. That hasn't happened since the Islanders won 4 straight Stanley Cups back in the early 80s. So it's been 40 years. So, you know, they're kind of up against it. And they didn't really look all that good. It's like, yeah, it's game 1. All right, who cares?
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, I didn't watch the whole game. I was flipping between that and baseball. I'm actually like watching some playoff baseball, which is like really
weird. The Braves getting the win.
Oops, this video is going to be taken down. Whoa. You notice they don't do that at Atlanta Stadium anymore. Oh. You know, God forbid we hurt the feelings of 3 indigenous people. Why probably 103 like it.
Yeah, right.
All right. So, the Pacific Division.
Yep.
I'm going to guess you got Vegas.
I do have Vegas.
Yeah.
I was torn on second and third. I ended up putting Edmonton second.
Okay. I have them. I have them third.
I put Seattle third.
Oh. I have Seattle fourth.
I have Calgary in fourth.
I have them second.
I have San Jose in fifth, LA in sixth, Anaheim in seventh, and Vancouver in eighth.
Really? You have Vancouver last?
I don't like Vancouver.
Wow. I think Anaheim is one of the worst teams in hockey.
To me, they're both bad.
I have them in last. I have Vegas, Calgary, Edmonton, Seattle, Vancouver, San Jose, Los Angeles, Anaheim.
Okay.
All right, so who's coming out of the West?
So
who do you have in the Final Four? Like in the Western side, Final 2.
Vegas versus Colorado. Very boring.
Yeah.
The East is more interesting, I promise.
The East is more interesting.
I think Edmonton can make a run potentially. Seattle will win their first round series. Going to tell you that now.
I've said Edmonton can make a run for the last 2 years, and they lost in the first round the last 2 years.
Yeah, they got swept last year. Other than Colorado, no one can really make a run out of the Central. It's gonna be Colorado Vegas. I feel like that's boring, but it's probably true.
Okay. In the Atlantic Division, does Tampa win it again?
I have them winning it.
Okay. I do not.
Not by a lot. Little bit.
Okay. They're only right now, their odds of winning that division, in what I'm looking at, is 33%.
I'm going to assume you like Toronto.
No.
You like Montreal.
No.
Do you like the team I have in second?
Probably.
Florida?
Yep.
Then I have Toronto. Then I have Boston. Then I have Montreal, Ottawa, Detroit, Buffalo.
Well, at least you have the right team in last.
Buffalo's awful. They're so bad.
I have Florida, Tampa, Boston, Toronto. But I have Boston and Toronto with the same amount of points.
Okay.
Montreal, Ottawa, Detroit, Buffalo.
So we're very similar.
Yes. Yes. The Metropolitan, toughest division.
Yeah.
Toughest.
I'd say 6 teams in it are good out of the 8.
Toughest division. I think there's 4 teams that could win this division.
I would say 5.
And I actually do not have the Rangers as one of those teams. Then you probably do.
I do.
Yeah.
I think they could win this division.
Okay.
I don't think they will, but I have the Islanders winning the division.
Okay. I have the Islanders in second.
I have Carolina in second.
I have Carolina in first.
Then I have Washington.
I have Pittsburgh.
Then I have the Rangers.
Then I have Washington.
Then I have Pittsburgh.
Then I have the Rangers.
Then I have Philly.
Yeah.
New Jersey. Columbus.
I actually have Columbus above New Jersey.
It doesn't matter.
That's true.
It doesn't matter.
That's true. That's true. All right. So you have Vegas and Colorado in the West. By the way, I have Vegas and Colorado in the West as well.
Ooh.
Who do you have in the East?
The Islanders and the Panthers.
Really?
I have Florida.
You cocksucker. So do I. I thought for sure we would not match this year.
Oh my.
Which means that's not happening. Who do you have making the Stanley Cup?
Islanders.
And?
Oh, Vegas.
No, fuck, we got the same Stanley Cup.
No, never mind. I have Colorado.
I have the Islanders in Vegas.
I have Colorado. My bad.
I have the Islanders in Vegas.
Okay.
And who do you have winning it all?
The Islanders.
Fuck, how do we wind up with the same team? I said there's no way. We talked about this like 5 minutes before we went on the air, and I said there's no way we have the same team winning the Stanley Cup.
I have the Islanders winning.
I said there's no way we have the same team winning the Stanley Cup.
About 3 years ago, I know we discussed the Islanders are going to be really good, and they're really good.
Well, that really blows. That really blows. I thought at plus 1,600, I'm solid. There's no way he's going to pick the Islanders.
There you go. There's my card. Vegas, Colorado. Islanders, Florida. Islanders versus Colorado. Islanders.
Yep. I said there is no way he's going to pick.
What do you think I'd pick? Colorado?
No, I didn't think you'd have the Islanders making the finals.
Oh. Yeah, what do you want me to say? Washington?
No, I actually thought you were going to take Florida.
Florida? No. I think that'll be a pretty good series. I think both those series will be insane.
Although, I wouldn't be surprised if Florida makes the Stanley Cup Finals.
I wouldn't be surprised if Tampa did, Florida did, the Islanders did, Carolina did. Those 4 for sure. I would say Toronto too, but Toronto sucks in the playoffs.
Every year.
So does Washington, so it doesn't matter. The Rangers, they will also win their first round.
They must going to be playing the Capitals.
There's a chance. They actually, the way I have it drawn up, they might actually be playing Tampa in the first round.
Gaia.
And then I said Seattle will win their first round. The problem is Seattle, the way this, if I have them in third, they'll end up probably playing Vegas, and I don't have them beating Vegas.
Cousin Josh says, go Devils. Poor Josh.
Devils. Go Devils.
Poor Josh.
So you're a Lakers fan, a Yankees fan,
Poor Josh.
a Cowgirls fan, and a Devils fan. Wow, it must suck.
Well, he's got one good team going for him right now.
I think he's the Lakers. Maybe he's the Celtics.
I actually think he's.
No, he's a Bulls. Even worse.
I think he's like, give me a team that like really sucks.
The Bulls.
A Cleveland Cavalier fan.
Oh, I think the Bulls might be worse.
Yes, he's a Bulls fan. He's a Bulls fan. All right, that really sucked. I thought we were going to be so different this year.
Maybe come the playoffs, we'll have different teams.
I really thought we were going to be different this year. That really sucked ass.
There's no way.
That really sucked ass. About as bad as me not being able to watch much of college football. Although, I did get to watch the end of the Arkansas-Ole Miss game. And God was I rooting for Arkansas to go for 2. And they did, because I had a bet on Arkansas. A very, not a sizable bet, but I had a bet on them. Catching 5. The one thing I did not want to see was it to go into overtime. In that game. You know, if they kicked the extra point. Which, by the way, on that 2-point conversion, there was a penalty on Arkansas. So if they completed the 2-point conversion, that would have been a good way to fuck me over. If they completed the 2-point conversion, there would have been a penalty, pushed it back 10 yards, which at that point, they would have kicked the extra point.
Yeah.
And you know, Mississippi would have scored a touchdown and Arkansas wouldn't have.
Right.
And I would have gotten fucked over.
Oh, sounds like another game that was on my Phantastic Fun.
Yeah.
Couple of them, to be honest.
Yes. Josh says his teams are 20 years behind.
Yeah, kind of. The Bulls used to be good. The Devils used to be good.
So let's talk about that shit show that happened out at Kinnick Stadium last Saturday.
Well, the second half of the shit. The first half wasn't a shit show. First half was domination.
Yeah, it was. I mean, there's... Obviously, if Clifford stays in that game, I think Penn State has probably a 75% chance of winning that game. I don't think they would have won by 14. I think Iowa would have tightened it up.
Potentially because we would have played conservative.
Yes. Of course.
Because everyone wanted to harp on, oh, he threw 2 interceptions. Okay, let's throw the second one out. It was a bomb, and the defender made a good play.
Yes.
The other one, he was trying to take a safety, trying to throw it into the ground, and it's Clifford, so he threw it up a little high, right into the defender's arms.
Yeah, the first one's on him, without a doubt.
Yes. Second one, Yeah. You really want to put it on him, you can, but it wasn't.
Yes.
And then, what's the thing that irritated you the most about the game?
Well, again, I didn't get a chance to watch much of it.
Okay. I got to sit there and enjoy all of it.
I got to watch up until right before Clifford got hurt, and then I watched most, but not quite all of the third quarter. And, like, the only play of the fourth quarter I saw was Iowa's touchdown. That was literally the only play I saw in the fourth quarter.
The touchdown.
No. The first one, the one in the fourth quarter was the legitimate one, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
The other one wasn't legitimate. The other one wasn't a touchdown.
Sure. Have you seen the head-on picture?
I saw the picture from behind.
Where the ball is, 3 feet to the left of the pylon.
Yes. Yes. Since when in college football, if you're carrying the football in your left hand and you jump out of bounds and your right hand touches the pylon on your right side, is that a touchdown?
It's not.
It's not like a bowling foul line which extends all the way around the earth, basically.
Yeah.
Pylons in football don't. Now, that's not to say Iowa would have scored the next play.
From the one.
But you don't know that for sure.
From the one.
Right. You don't know that for sure. Though. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm not... as upset about that as probably you are, because again, I'm just under the assumption that Iowa would have eventually scored.
I'm actually not upset about it just because I'm under the assumption they would have scored because we could not stop their running game.
Right.
Very well.
Yes.
One thing I was upset about is the classlessness of their fans. Okay, I will say sometimes it was odd that we would go down every time they had a big play. Mm-hmm. I will say that's odd.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't boo someone down. I can tell you right now, I've been in the stadium all year, so I know what happens when there's injuries. All the students put their little pom-poms up, like we do for a field goal, like to make a field goal. Everyone kneels, so like the cheerleaders and the players. And a lot of the fans will stand depending on the injury.
Yeah.
You don't boo someone
down. They had, again, I didn't see it. But I'm going to assume it's selective booing. Like, if it's the first quarter and a receiver gets tackled badly or a lineman falls on another lineman, I don't think the fans are booing in the first quarter of the game. I think the fans are booing when they feel like the football player has all of a sudden become a Manchester United soccer player. Or who's the one guy that fakes every time he gets touched, he falls down in soccer.
Oh God, it's like all Neymar.
Yes, that's something. Yeah,
like all of them.
Like you can literally go beak, and he's rolling around the field for 30 yards. So, I'm not going to give them a pass on it. It turns out that the one guy was legitimately hurt.
Yes. Forget his name. PJ Mustafer.
Right.
He's our defensive end.
Right.
He's out for the season now.
Right. So, I'm not as upset at that as you are. Again, if it happens once, fine. But when it keeps on happening, like I said, I didn't get to see much of the game. You're the one that just said, though, every time they had a big play, we all of a sudden had a player hurt.
There was a few times where someone would go down, and then they were back in the game two plays later. Mm-hmm. That seems a little but it is what it is,
Mm-hmm.
And then their fans rush the field.
Woo!
You were a 3-point favorite at home. You don't rush the field against a backup quarterback, a dinged-up defense. Good job! Our starters are all out there. You guys are going home crying because you fall to number 10, because you would have got embarrassed.
So does Iowa belong at number 2?
Statistically, yes. If we just go by the paper. But no, they're not the number 2 team in the country. Let's go through the top 10. Who would give a good game and or beat Iowa? So, Georgia.
Yes, absolutely.
Cincinnati.
It would be a good game.
Oklahoma.
I don't think they would beat them. Well, I don't think they would beat them with their starting quarterback. Their backup quarterback.
Maybe. Alabama.
Yes.
Ohio State.
Yes.
Penn State.
Wait, is it on a new, I think
neutral field.
Neutral field. Yes, I think if Ohio State played Iowa at night, it would be a knockdown, drag out war of a game.
Penn State.
Neutral field, full strength. Penn State beats them.
Michigan.
No, I think Iowa would probably beat them.
Somehow, statistically, Michigan is actually the favorite to win the Big Ten.
I saw that, and that's not happening.
I laughed. Because they're going to come into Penn State and lose by 10. Especially if we could beat Ohio State. And we're still a one-loss team.
I still don't think Oregon?
I'm going to say no.
That would be a really good game. Because Oregon's defense is actually really good, too. I think Oregon's defense would shut down Iowa. I think it would be an awfully low-scoring game.
And then Michigan State.
No, but...
I think they're a very overrated 6-0 team.
Yeah, because they really haven't played anybody yet.
No, they get Indiana this week. That's not the easiest of games. Then they get Michigan, so...
And then they still have Ohio State and Penn State.
Yeah, that too. They get to finish the year with those two.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, statistically, should Iowa be number 2? No. Their defense, very solid. Their offense, their quarterback sucks, to be honest. Their running back's pretty good. He looked really good.
Yeah. By the way, Josh says he took Vanderbilt plus 42.5 against Florida. Oops.
What was the score of that game?
62 maybe to nothing.
Why would you take a team comparable to UMass?
Hey, I was wrong. UMass got a win last week.
Yeah! Woo! I got the game of the year right.
Yeah, you did. Because I had to take the opposite side.
Should have took UMass.
Well, I couldn't. I wasn't going to take the same side you did.
No, I should have played them in the Phatts Fantastic Five.
You should have.
Would have looked better than what I got.
Me too.
Here. Now that we were just talking about teams that could beat Iowa in the top 10, let me just name a few other ones. Texas.
No, Iowa would beat them.
Texas A&M.
Iowa would beat them.
Those are the only two I really wanted to. Clemson.
No.
Fair. Is there anyone else that could even give them a run for their money? Maybe Florida?
That would be a good game.
Anyone?
You know who would give them a run for their money out of that conference? Kentucky.
I don't want to say Kentucky because I think Kentucky is just as badly rated as Michigan State.
We're gonna find out this week.
Oh, it was 42-0 Florida, so he won by a half point.
Oh, what was I thinking? Well, good job.
Yeah, good job.
Good job. Good job. I think Kentucky would hang with them on a neutral field.
Okay. Yeah.
There's nobody in the ACC. I don't think there's anybody in the Big 12. The Pac, Oregon, maybe. On a neutral field, Ohio State beats them. Especially the Ohio State now. The Ohio State of a month ago, no. Ohio State's back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry to say.
So, here's a question for you. Is it cruel that Penn State drops 3 ranks to number 7, while Alabama loses to unranked Texas A&M and only drops to number 5?
Yeah, but they both dropped 3 spots.
Alabama dropped 4.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. No, I think Alabama is right at 5. I would have kept Penn State above Ohio State, but that's Ohio State, getting their cock sucked like they always do.
Just like so,
because let's face it, Ohio State lost at home to Oregon. Penn State lost on the road to a team ranked higher than them with a backup quarterback.
Right. Who
and they still
realistically could be a third stringer.
And they still only lost by 3.
Right.
Which, by the way, that quarterback will not be on the team next year. He will be in the transfer portal. Guaranteed.
So, Two more things. So Penn State can bring in Christian Vallejo, who's redshirted. They can bring him in for 4 games.
Yes.
Do you do it? Do you have him as a backup? Because it looks like Clifford can play. Nothing has been said yet. It's a lot of speculation. Some people are saying he has a broken clavicle. If that's true, well, he's done for the season.
I don't think he's got a broken clavicle. I didn't see him grabbing that part of his body at all.
No, he grabbed his back.
His lower back.
And I thought the speculation was he could play against Iowa, but if he takes another hit, he's done. And Penn State fully knowing they don't need to win that game.
Right. Yeah, remember, as we talked last week, that was their free roll. Yeah, it was great to win it, but they're still going to have to sweep the East if they want any chance of getting in the playoffs.
They win that game, cool, they're number 2, but they still have to beat Ohio State.
Yes, and I still think if they win out, they're in the playoffs.
They should be. So do you don't terminate his red shirt, because that's not what it is, but let him play as a backup in case you need him? Or do you let him play against Illinois?
I have no idea how good he's been looking in practice.
Okay. And then we also have we have another quarterback coming next year as well.
Right, yeah, you got that kid from, what is it, Cumberland Valley?
Yeah. And now with an Alabama loss, does Cincinnati have a chance at the playoffs?
No. They should go undefeated, but their biggest win is at Notre Dame, and that's really their only big win. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, though, if they made it, and then they get absolutely, like, they'll make it as the 4th seed, and then Georgia will beat them by 50, and then they'll say, see, this is why we don't include these teams. And you'll never see one again until they expand the playoffs, which might be next year anyway.
True.
I mean, you know, if they go undefeated and Georgia remains undefeated. See, if Georgia remains undefeated, Alabama's not making the playoffs because Alabama has 2 losses.
Correct. Oklahoma should realistically be undefeated.
Oklahoma's probably going to lose a game, though, somewhere. They always do.
True.
But
and then Iowa is going to lose a game at some point.
No, they're not, because unless it's the only game they're going to lose is the Big Ten title game, because they play nobody else. Look at their schedule. They play the Little Sisters of the Poor, Scranton State School for the Deaf, and the Kutztown High School football team.
They play Purdue.
Right.
Then they're at Wisconsin.
Right.
Then they're at Northwestern.
Right.
Which is the worst team in the Big Ten. They're home against Minnesota. They're home against Illinois. They're at Nebraska. Yeah.
So their crossover games were Penn State and who?
Maryland.
Woo! Tough. No Michigan, no Michigan State, no Ohio State.
Right. But we get stuck with Iowa every year.
And Wisconsin this year. So our 2 crossover games were hard.
Right.
And we won one of them. If without an injury, we win both of them. And we should be the number 2 team in the nation then. We would be deserving to be the number 2 team in the nation.
And we beat Auburn as well,
yeah.
while they were ranked.
Yeah.
We had 2 cupcake games, sort of. You could have said Ball State could have been a tricky game. Could have.
All right, so back on our college football preview, I did say that Texas A&M would put a huge scare into Alabama. I said I didn't know if they were going to win, but it wouldn't surprise me if they won. Well, they won.
We were watching that game as an apartment. We were yelling at the TV.
I didn't watch it down to that game, unfortunately.
That game was really fun to watch. We watched the whole second half together. We were screaming for A&M to win. I wanted to put a bet in at halftime for Alabama to win the game outright.
Well, it's a good thing you didn't.
Then it looked like they were going to.
Yeah.
But at halftime, they were down like, 15 or 14 or 17 or whatever?
I have no idea.
It was still minus 120. I was like, what? I figured I could have got, plus at least 100, like plus like 120, 130 at least. I was hoping maybe I could have got 200, maybe. But I was like, I'm not betting it if I have to give up a vig. What?
Yes. Yes. The other good game was, I did say Texas would beat Oklahoma.
They should have.
And until basically the last play of the game.
Right.
They were up big in that game. Again, I didn't watch it down to that game, unfortunately.
I watched a good amount of that game. I was at hockey. But I was watching the game. I don't know how Texas lost. I really don't.
Texas lost because that's what they do to Oklahoma.
Get up big.
Well, no, they don't necessarily give up big. They just tend to lose to Oklahoma.
But yeah, they should have won that game easily. And all of a sudden their offense just went, we don't feel like playing anymore.
I'm glad I didn't wind up betting that game because it would have pissed me off because I would have taken Texas with the 3.5. And they gave up a 32-yard run with 7 seconds to go.
Yeah.
To lose by 7.
What they did.
Yeah.
At halftime, I think there was 68 points or something like that.
Yeah, there was a lot of points.
I texted you, I'm like, classic Big 12 football.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
I said I was very correct on my prediction of the Penn State-Iowa game. First team to 21 wins.
And you did say it would either be a 2, 3, or 4-point game.
One. Did I say 3 or 4?
Or you said, no, you said 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Because the line was 2.
When we were not 21, I was nervous.
Hey, you had that game called right. You just didn't know. You know, you said 1, 2, or 3. So at 1, you take Penn State.
Right.
At 3, you take Iowa. So you had it right. No call. In the pros, I made the biggest bet that I've made in about the last 8 years.
$100.
$25. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, did I have to sweat it out. So I played a 6-point teaser where I had New England teasing them down to 2.5. They won by this many on just about the last play of the game when they were trailing by double digits most of that game. And
that was another one I wanted to bet, and I never looked at it. I don't even know why at halftime, because I was like, well, how the hell are they losing by 14 to the Texans?
And I had them tease with Baltimore, who was down by 16 points in the fourth quarter.
To the Colts.
And somehow, some way, scored 2 touchdowns and 2 2-point conversions, all to the tight end, by the way. Which was great because I have him in fantasy.
Yeah, there you go. I hope you won in fantasy this week.
Tell you what, I'll guarantee you that the final score of our fantasy game, there's in the history of our pool, or our league, which is I think six years now, there's never been a match this high scoring.
Jeez.
A lot now, we have a high scoring league to begin with, but most of the time you score in the high 200s to mid 300s. Okay? Usually if you could get up around 380, you got like a 90% chance to win. If you could score in the 400s, you got pretty much a 98% chance of winning. My opponent had 478 points.
And you had 550.
I had 508.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't you have Kyler Murray as your quarterback?
No,
too?
that was last year. I have a bear from the Chargers this year.
Justin Herbert,
a bear.
Oh, that game pissed me off too.
Well, we'll talk about that, but we're talking about fantasy football right now because that's where I started. I have him. I have Derrick Henry as my running back.
Who let you have this team?
Well, you could keep 2 starters from last year, and I kept Derrick Henry, and I kept one of my good wide receivers. I picked up the quarterback this year because it's a 10-team league, and 8 people kept their quarterbacks.
Well,
I didn't. And the guy who came in this year, a new guy, picked Kyler Murray, who I had last year. So I had to pick a quarterback, and basically I could take whatever quarterback I wanted. And if you watched our NFL preview show, I said the Chargers were going to the Super Bowl this year. By the way, if the season ended right now, they would be the number 1 seed in the AFC. Yes, over Buffalo. Yes, they would. They would be the number 1 seed right now.
They probably look about the 3rd best team in the NFL.
But right now, they'd be the number 1 seed.
I don't care.
You would have to go into San Diego and have 80% home field advantage with the fans. Because they don't draw fans.
They might if they start winning more.
Maybe. But they're San Diego transplants. But yes, right now they have the number 1 seed because their one loss was to Dallas in the other conference.
20-17.
And Buffalo's one loss was to Pittsburgh. And the other team with one loss, who is Baltimore, who'd they lose to? Who'd they lose to? The Raiders. The Raiders.
The Raiders.
The Raiders. So right now, the Chargers would have the number 1 seed. So as of at least week 5, my Super Bowl prediction is looking pretty good, which all you people thought I was nuts.
Who did I pick to win the Super Bowl?
Buffalo.
Well, they're looking fine, too.
You are. You are. You're looking really good. I mean, they went into Kansas City and, drop kicked the shit out of Kansas City.
Kansas City, honestly, it's not Kansas City anymore.
Hey, it's the Super Bowl hangover. You see it almost every year. The team that loses the Super Bowl struggles to make the playoffs the following year. You see it almost every single year.
No, it's every time unless it's Tom Brady.
Right. And honestly, it is. It is. Go back and look at all the losers of the Super Bowl over, let's say, at least the last 10 years, and look how they did the next year. They struggle to make the playoffs. Playoffs? It's the way that it is. It's amazing. Speaking of struggling.
Not that Kansas City has had... They haven't had an easy schedule by any means.
Oh, no, they haven't. But they're 2-3, and, you know, their defense is what's killing them.
They've played 4 Super Bowl contenders so far.
Yeah. Yeah,
the
they've
Browns,
had a tough schedule.
The Ravens, the Chargers, and the Bills. And then they also play the Eagles, who for some reason can put up points, but they give up a lot too.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of struggling.
Ugh. Oh, boy.
That was the Phatts Phantastic Phive last week.
Yeah, it was.
Let me make sure, I keep the volume this time. All right.
You got volume.
I got volume. Yeah, we took a major hit on the Phatts Phantastic Phive.
Slightly.
We both went 1-4. It was a bad week.
Hey, nobody picked up the first ever 0-5.
Yeah, sure.
Has anyone ever won 5-0 either?
Oh, yes. Yes.
It must have been you, because I don't think it was me.
Yes, I did.
I think there's only been one 5-0.
Yes, I believe there was only one.
And there's no 0-5s yet.
Yes. So let's recap. Let's look at the non-genetically proven son's picks from last week.
All right.
Which I'm sure he does not want to do.
No.
In college, he had Michigan giving 3.5. They won by how many? 3. Loser.
They played a shithouser every game. Awful.
You had the team total, Georgia over 30.5. Ding ding. Cha-ching.
And they scored like 34.
Yep. You had Rutgers. Bad pick, man. Bad pick.
That did not look good.
That was just a plain bad pick.
That did not look good.
That was just a bad pick. In the pros, you had Cleveland plus 2.5.
Way to score 42 and lose.
That game was a killer because they had the lead most of that game too, I think.
They did. If you would have straight up told me, oh, the Browns just going to score 42 on the Chargers.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's pretty good. They're probably going to win by, 10, 15 maybe?
Yep.
No, they lost by 5.
Oh, kind of like when I just needed the one team to win the Binkley pool, and they scored 48 in Monday Night Football and lost 51-48.
Yeah. Similar.
The only time I had a chance to win that pool, you just pick teams straight up and you have to put confidence points next to them. And for me to win the pool, it was the Rams in Kansas City, and I forget who ended up winning and who ended up losing that game. But all I needed, what?
Pretty sure Kansas City won the game.
All right, so then I needed just the Rams to win, and they scored 48 points and lost, in the highest scoring Monday night game ever. Yes, and you had Baltimore -7, which was a loser by a point. So you went 1-4. Let's look at my plays, shall we? Which weren't any better. I had Ohio State -21. That play looked really good.
That play did look really good.
That play looked really good. I told you Ohio State's back. They are back.
They played Rutgers and they played Maryland.
Yes, but they're now...
I'm not saying they're back until they beat somebody who actually is competent.
But they're now scoring over 50 points a game. Their offense is back. Would they score 50 points against Georgia? No.
They might score 15.
I also had Michigan. I had Oregon State. Did they end up... What was the final score of that game?
Holding.
I don't even know what the final score of that game was.
Watch, you ended up actually winning it.
No, if they won, they only won by 3, but...
The Pac-12. They lost by 7.
Yeah, I thought they lost straight up in that game.
Bad pick.
I had Carolina against the Eagles. The Eagles scored late in that game.
I don't know how Carolina lost that game.
And I had the Giants. Yes, Dallas is now for real. I'm convinced now Dallas is for real. Although the Chargers should have beaten them in week 2. If it wasn't for 2 touchdowns being called back for penalties. But that's week 2. So we both went 1-4. Yay.
Yay.
All right. So let's look at this week's picks. Shall we?
Yeah.
So you know who not to bet on.
I'm going 5-0 this week.
I hope you do. I really hope you do. All right, you have Alabama in the first half.
Yes.
-8.5.
If I could take Alabama in the first half, the game, and the team total, I would.
Well, you can, at least betting.
I can.
And you might.
I like Alabama to be pretty pissed off. Not maybe Alabama, but maybe Nick Saban. Sure, he's not too thrilled.
You have, I know you have money in your FanDuel account.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've used any other books.
Other than the DraftKings that I have like $130 in.
I know they've started doing same game parlays. So you should see if you could parlay like Alabama in the first half and Alabama for the game.
Yeah, I might.
Might not be a bad idea. You have Georgia team total going right back to that well. 2 weeks in a row. Over 33.5.
Georgia literally just scores so many points. And they don't give up anything either, so they get the ball a lot. Well, let's go. They scored 10 against Clemson, whatever. 56, 40, 62, 37, 34. They will have no problem covering 33 against Kentucky.
Now, not covering, they just got to score 34.
Yeah, they won't have a problem covering the 34 points. So then,
yes, the final score could be Georgia 34. The final score could be Kentucky 63, Georgia 35, and he still wins.
Correct.
The score will not be 63-35.
No,
but it could be, and you would still win.
I was looking at the line on this game. I think 22.5 is a little aggressive, to be honest.
We'll see. It'll be interesting to see how many points Kentucky could put up on them. It'll be very interesting to see. I mean, they handled LSU. They put 42 up on LSU. Now, obviously, LSU's defense is not even in the same, compared to Georgia, LSU has a Big 12 defense.
Pretty much.
That's a pretty good analogy.
But Kentucky's played what? UNL, Monroe, Missouri, Chattanooga, South Carolina. Then they beat Florida. That's a good win, but it was in Kentucky. And then they beat LSU, also in Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see how going to Athens goes for them.
Yes. Let's see. Then you have Virginia Tech as a home dog against Pitt. When I first looked at the lines, this game caught my attention as well. I'm like, Pitt? Really?
Pitt is on the verge of being ranked. They could be.
They could be.
But, go right back to it. Who's Pitt played? UMass.
That's a good team. They got to win.
They gave up a touchdown to UMass.
They got to win.
They played they beat Tennessee in Tennessee. All right.
They did.
They lost to Western Michigan 44-41.
Yeah.
They beat New Hampshire. They beat Georgia Tech. I don't see anything impressive on there. And Virginia Tech realistically should have beat Notre Dame last week. So Virginia Tech is going to win that game, first of all. So that's all that matters.
Okay.
ESPN gives Pitt a 75% chance to win that game, and that's ridiculous, in my opinion.
Okay. So you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Take the home dog on the money line with Virginia Tech. And then to the pros, you have the Cowboys, -3.5, going on the road to New England.
After watching the Cowboys last week, they could put up 40 on New England. And New England ain't going to touch 40, so.
Okay. And then you have the last undefeated team in the league getting points on the road at Cleveland. You have Arizona +3.
I don't understand this line. I really don't.
Oh, I think this line is spot on.
You think they're even on a neutral field?
Yes, I do.
After watching Cleveland play last week, Herbert could be a better quarterback than Kyler Murray, but Arizona's offense is better. In my mind.
Okay.
And defense is,
I would say their defense is better.
That too.
But they're on the road.
They're covering too. They're covering spreads, I believe. Now, the Browns just aren't impressive to me. They lost to the Chiefs. They beat the Texans. They beat the Browns. They barely beat the Vikings. And they lost to the Chargers after scoring 42.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't played anyone all that impressive, to be honest, except the Chargers. Those other 4 teams don't really look great. And the Texans, you say, are the worst team in the league.
They are. I mean, the Chiefs are still a good team. I mean, Cleveland has 2 losses, correct?
Yeah.
And they were ahead by double digits in both games.
Correct.
So I think it'll be a good game. And you might be on the right side here, getting the 3. I'm sure.
Catching the field goal, I like it. If I was catching 2.5, I don't think I would have liked it as much.
And catching 3.5, you're wrecked.
Right.
All right. So you have
the original game that I had that I ended up switching for Dallas is I liked. Do you want me to wait?
No.
So you're done.
No.
I liked the Eagles catching a touchdown.
I liked them too. They didn't make my Phatts Fantastic 5.
When I originally did my list, the Eagles were catching 6.5, and then an hour later they were catching 7. I was like, The problem is, does Tampa Bay, do they care? Almost. Yeah, they should win the game. But do they want to blow them out, or do they not care and they'll win by 5?
Right.
So I don't know where they sit with that.
Well, don't forget, you also have that Thursday night road teams traveling over 800 miles and such and such and such, and
Yeah.
typically don't cover blah, 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 blah. Hey, Washington's beating the Rangers 10 minutes into the first period.
Let's go!
All right, so you have Alabama in the first half, minus 8.5. Georgia team total over 33.5. Virginia Tech plus 4. Dallas minus 3.5. Arizona plus 3. Now, as mentioned to you before we went live, we almost had a crossfire. What's crossfire? When we go head-to-head against each other. Almost. But I went with another play in that same game, though. So, here's my picks. I have 4 college games, 1 pro game. I have Syracuse catching 13.5 at home against Clemson. God, I wish I was catching 14.5. And I will be keeping my eye on the line because right now you have to give more vig with Clemson at 13.5. So if that game goes to 14, you bet your goddamn ass I'm going to bet it the moment I see it. I'm going to wait. It's a Friday game. So I have the over 54 in Auburn, Arkansas. I think points aplenty in this game. It'll be in the 60s. Pay attention. Stop watching porn.
I'm trying to find the hockey game.
It's on TNT.
I know what it's on. I just don't know where TNT is. There it is.
And here was our almost crossfire. I had the over team total for Pitt at 30.5.
Interesting.
Well, let's look at how many points Pitt has put up this year. They have put up 51, 41, 41, 77, 52.
Yes. And they also played FCS.
Yes,
FCS.
I get it. And so, yes, they're going to be playing the best defense that they've faced, but I think they could still get to 31. Again, not saying they're going to win the game. The final score could be 70-35, and I win.
True.
I just need Pitt to score 31 points. I have Michigan State minus 4.5 going on the road to Indiana. The only thing that concerns me about this game, it's back-to-back road games for Indiana because they kicked back-to-back road games for Michigan State because they kicked the shit out of Rutgers last week.
I don't like that play, really.
Don't forget, Indiana is playing their backup quarterback.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
I knew he went down in Penn State's game, but I didn't know if he was still out.
And he's still out. Yes.
Okay, maybe I like that pick more.
Michigan State is a fraud team, but they haven't played anybody yet. I mean, let's see what happens when they play Michigan, when they play Ohio State, when they play Penn State. Which, do they have to play them back to back to back, or do they have a bye in there anywhere? Or
they play Michigan next week.
Yeah.
Sorry, 2 weeks from now they get a bye after this week. But then they play Purdue, then they play Maryland, but then they get Ohio State and Penn State back to back weeks.
Okay. So let's see if they have 3 losses after that. Which I think is a definite possibility. Although, I tell you what, their running back is probably either the favorite or the second choice in the Heisman voting right now.
Interesting.
Their running back. Can you fucking pay attention?
I'm listening.
Yeah, but you're not paying attention. Like we're doing a show here. Stop turning away. We're almost done. Pay attention. And the one pro game I have is the Thursday night Tampa-Philly game, but I have under 52.5. Tom Brady's thumb is a little banged up. I don't think they're going to put up a ton of points in this game. I like Philly with the 7 as well. I think this has 20, 24, 22 type game written all over it, or 20, 26, 22, some weird score like that.
Interesting.
Written all over it. So those are my picks for the week.
Okay.
Syracuse 13.5. Auburn over 54. Auburn, Arkansas over 54. Pitt team total over 30.5. Michigan State minus 4.5. Under Tampa, Philly 52.5. The other two games that I liked that I left off were, I had Arkansas minus 3.5 at first. Then I changed it to the over-under in that game. And I had LSU getting 10.5 against Florida at home. Florida has not covered a road game in over a year. And then I read the injury report to LSU, and they might be down to Ed Ogeron's sister-in-law to play cornerback or something. If she has college eligibility still.
Okay.
Like, they have like lots of injuries, so that kept me off of that game. And those are your Phatts Phantastic Phive for the week. Please don't play them because we suck.
10-0 this week.
History is repeating itself this year. Cowboys, Bills, Super Bowl. So says Josh.
Not a chance.
It's possible.
Not a chance.
It's certainly possible. Maybe we should do that next week. Rank. We will, if I remember. We'll rank where we feel like the top 10 in the NFL is after week 6.
I think there's 4 teams in the NFC that could beat Dallas right now.
Okay. Who, if you had to put a number 1 team in the NFL, who would you put right now? I actually think that's very easy.
Buffalo,
yes. Who would you say is the best team in the NFC right now? Do you think it's Arizona?
I'm torn between, as of right now, through 5 games, I'm torn between Arizona and Dallas.
Okay.
As of right now. I think Arizona's defense is considerably better
Okay.
than Dallas's defense. But Dallas's offense looks really good right now.
They do.
But I'm also basing this strictly off the last game I remember, which is the Giants game. And the Giants are just a great team.
And their quarterback got hurt in that game.
And Saquon broke his ankle.
And Saquon, who is the Josh posted that, not you, cousin Josh. Josh Satters and posted it. He's the which quarterback keeps getting hurt in the NFL? Always gets hurt like every year. Well, I'll just make up a name. Like the Houston quarterback that got hurt. Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor gets hurt every year. He's like the Tyrod Taylor of running backs.
His career has been over since he tore his ACL.
I mean, he gets hurt every year.
Every year. Because he has no line, so he's getting hit all the time.
That's why he was. Last year for fantasy football, I kept him in. I had him and I had Henry as my running backs, and I kept the 2 of them. This year I didn't keep Saquon.
He's never going to be that good until he switches teams. He has to switch teams.
Well, he may.
He might retire in 3 years because he keeps getting injured.
Yeah, you keep getting injured. You know, you're never going to end up being what you could have been. And he just may be injury prone.
Insane. Sucks.
He may be brittle. Brittle. Maybe. Maybe not. All right. Anything else you want to talk about before we head off for the night?
I got nothing.
You got nothing. Okay.
I got nothing.
All right. All right.
Kansas City last in the AFC West. There you go.
Still. All right. So hopefully we'll do better this week in the Phatts Phantastic Phive. Baseball playoffs, really quick. Houston, Boston. You got a winner?
Houston, unfortunately.
You got a winner tomorrow, Game 5, San Francisco Dodgers.
That's such a tough.
Actually,
Who-
San Francisco's number one pitcher's pitching, and he's really good.
Who's pitching?
I just said it. Their number one is going
Can
tomorrow.
you give me a name?
I don't know. He shut out the Dodgers in Game 1.
Logan Webb?
He shut out the Dodgers in Game 1. 6-0.
You're not really sure who that is. I don't know. To be honest, someone who the Braves could beat. Because that's who they get.
Well, I don't think they could beat either team. I mean, for them to win, the Braves are going to have to win a lot of low-scoring games.
That's what they did this time
Yes.
against the Brewers, because I thought they had no shot against the Brewers. I'll take the Giants.
Good pick.
I think the Braves have a better chance to beat the Giants than the Dodgers. Dodgers lineup is so much better. Like their hitting lineup.
I mean, both the Giants and the Dodgers finished with 109 wins, and Atlanta finished with how many? Like 88 or 89?
88.
Yeah.
The Giants had 107. The Dodgers had 106.
Okay. So there
Okay,
you go.
so what else? Yeah, that's it. I mean, yeah, I guess that's it.
Yeah.
Forgot the playoffs in baseball are so short.
The first round is short, 5 games. That's it.
And it's only 3 rounds except for the wild card game, which is only 1 game.
Mm-hmm. Hey, back when I was a kid, it was 2 rounds.
It plays 100 and whatever
62.
games.
162.
And if you're not the best 4 teams in baseball, that's really all you're playing.
It's great, isn't it?
No, I don't like it. It doesn't allow, like in hockey, where an 8 seed can make a Stanley Cup run. In baseball, you just don't see that as much.
Well,
Especially anymore.
you don't see it at all because you have the division winners and then 2 wildcard teams. The 2 wildcard teams face each other in a 1-game elimination.
I mean, if they allowed like 12 teams to get in each side,
Way
and they
too
played like
Way too many.
3-game series,
Way too many.
it'd make it more interesting. I think it would allow for average teams to do something. Like, imagine finishing second in your division and you weren't even close to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
That sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's possible in hockey, realistically, but it's not.
Yeah.
Or football. Finish second in your division, you're fine.
I mean, but you could say basically the exact opposite of the NBA. How many years, especially not all that long ago in the East, were teams with a below 500 record making the playoffs?
True, because like half the teams make the
Yes,
playoffs.
I'm sorry, but no team with a record below 500 should ever make the playoffs. Like you had, and then you had the West with teams at like plus or .550 not making the playoffs.
There's 15 teams in the East, and if they took 8, taking more than half.
Yeah, so like teams with .47 winning percentage were making the playoffs, and then in the West, teams that are 7-8 games above 500 weren't making the playoffs.
Sure.
That's why I'm a fan of the way it used to be in the NHL back when I was a kid. The top 16 teams didn't matter what divisions you were in.
Right.
I love that. I absolutely love that. That's why I liked the hockey playoffs last year.
Because it was just the best teams.
Well, and you had like, I would have been cool if they kept the same divisions from last year. Had all of Canada in one division. I'd have been cool with that.
Would have been cool. It allows for the average Canadian teams to at least make the playoffs.
Yes, I'd have been cool with that. Cool. All right, so that's our show for tonight. I just want to say one last thing before we go. Let me get the Phatts TV logo all ready to go. My one last thing. Fuck you, Twitter Jack. Have a good one.